There is a dress hanging in your closet right now that you have not worn in years, not because it stopped fitting, and not because it stopped being beautiful, but because somebody, somewhere, made you believe your arms had to earn the right to be seen. Today, that belief dies. Welcome back to GRACEFUL&CHIC After 50, the place where we prove, every single week, that style has no expiration date. And here is something that might upset a few people watching right now, so go ahead, get your comment ready before we even begin. Fashion magazines and so-called stylists have spent decades telling women over 50 that sleeveless dresses are a young woman's privilege. That is not fashion advice. That is an opinion dressed up as a rule, and it has quietly convinced beautiful, capable women to hide themselves for no good reason at all. If that made you sit up a little straighter, drop a yes in the comments below, because we are just getting started. If you have stopped wearing sleeveless dresses because you think your arms are too soft, too loose, or simply too old to show, you may be giving up some of the most elegant dresses in your wardrobe, and for the wrong reason entirely. Looking stunning in sleeveless clothing after 60 has far less to do with having perfectly toned arms, and much more to do with how the dress frames your shoulders, where the neckline draws the eye, and how you balance the rest of the outfit. Once you understand the 5 tricks I am about to give you, you may discover that some sleeveless dresses actually make you look more polished, more graceful, and even more youthful than dresses with sleeves ever could. Stay with me all the way to trick number 4, because that one is a game changer for the days when you love a sleeveless dress, but still want a little more coverage around your upper arms. And before we go further, if you are new here at GRACEFUL&CHIC After 50, hit that subscribe button now, because every week we hand you the tools to dress with confidence at every stage of life. No apologies required. Let's start with the detail most women overlook completely. Trick 1. Choose the right strap and shoulder cut. When most women look at a sleeveless dress, they immediately ask one question. Do my arms look good in this? But there is a much better question to ask. Does the shoulder area of this dress flatter my proportions? Because 2 sleeveless dresses can expose almost the exact same amount of arm and still look completely different on your body. The first thing to look at is the width of the shoulder straps. Very thin spaghetti straps can be beautiful, but if you are already conscious of your upper arms, they can sometimes create too much visual contrast. You have a tiny little strap, and then suddenly the eye sees the entire arm at once. That contrast can actually make the upper arm appear more prominent than it really is. Instead, try a sleeveless dress with a medium-width strap, or a shoulder section that extends closer to the natural edge of your shoulder. That extra bit of fabric creates balance. It does not hide your arms. It simply frames them better, and that distinction matters more than you think. You do not need to cover yourself from shoulder to wrist to look elegant. Sometimes an extra inch or 2 of fabric at the shoulder can completely change the proportion of the entire outfit. Now pay attention to the armhole as well, because this is one of the biggest differences between a sleeveless dress that looks inexpensive and one that looks beautifully tailored. If the armhole is too tight, it may dig into the skin around the underarm or create little bulges that were not even noticeable before. If it is too loose, you may see the side of your bra, extra skin, or too much of the side torso. Neither one is ideal. A flattering armhole should sit close to the body without squeezing. You should be able to move comfortably, but the fabric should still look clean and intentional. Here is another detail that is surprisingly important. Watch where the dress cuts inward around your shoulders. Some sleeveless dresses have very narrow shoulder panels that curve dramatically toward the neck. These can make the shoulders and upper arms appear wider because you are exposing more of the outer shoulder. A cut that sits slightly farther out toward the shoulder creates a far more balanced line. Now, what about halter necklines? They can be gorgeous, especially if you like showing your shoulders. But remember, a halter draws attention directly to the shoulder area. So if that is a part of your body you are already sensitive about, you may feel more comfortable in a classic sleeveless cut with wider straps. The same applies to racerback-inspired designs. They are sporty and modern, but because they expose more of the shoulder blade area, they naturally place more visual emphasis on your arms and shoulders. There is no rule saying you cannot wear them after 60. The only real question is whether they create the effect you actually want. For an elegant, everyday look, One of the safest choices is often a sleeveless dress with a clean shoulder line, substantial straps, and an armhole that fits beautifully. And do not underestimate the power of a little structure. A slightly tailored shoulder instantly makes the outfit look more refined. It gives the eye a clear line to follow, so instead of looking at your upper arms, people see the shape of the dress. That is exactly what good styling should do. You are not trying to make your arms disappear. You are creating a beautiful frame around them. Trick 2. Use your neckline to create length. This one is a personal favorite because you can see the difference almost immediately. When you wear a sleeveless dress, there is naturally more skin visible around the upper body, so the shape of the neckline becomes incredibly important. Let's start with the classic V-neck. A V-neck creates a vertical line straight through the center of your body, and vertical lines are your friend when you want a look that feels long, balanced, and elegant. Instead of the eye moving horizontally from shoulder to shoulder, it moves downward through the center of the outfit. That can make your neck appear longer and shift attention away from the widest part of your upper arms. And the V does not have to be deep. A soft, moderate V-neck can be incredibly flattering all on its own. Next is the scoop neck. A scoop neckline is softer and rounder than a V-neck, but it still creates openness around the collarbone. This can be especially beautiful if you like feminine, relaxed styles. The key is making sure it is not so high that the entire upper chest becomes one solid block of fabric. Showing just a little collarbone gives the outfit room to breathe. Then we have the square neckline. A square neckline is wonderful if you want a sleeveless dress to feel a little more polished or architectural. It creates clean lines, highlights the collarbone beautifully, and can make even a simple cotton or linen dress feel more sophisticated. A square neckline also pairs beautifully with a delicate necklace or a small pendant. Now let's talk about boat necks. Boat necklines can look incredibly graceful, especially if you love that classic, old Hollywood elegance, but they do create more horizontal width across the shoulders. So if you already have broad shoulders and want to visually narrow that area, you may prefer a V-neck or scoop neck instead. On the other hand, if your hips are wider and you would like more balance between your upper and lower body, a boat neckline can actually work in your favor. That is exactly why it is time to stop thinking in terms of universal fashion rules. The question is never what is the best neckline for women over 60. The question is, what neckline creates the best proportion on me? Here is one neckline combination worth being careful with if you are already self-conscious about your upper arms. A very high, tight crew neck combined with a completely bare shoulder can sometimes make the upper body look more solid because there is not much open space around the neckline and your eye tends to move outward toward the arms instead. That does not mean you can never wear one. But if you put on a sleeveless dress and something feels slightly off, the neckline may be the real problem, not your arms. You can also use jewelry to enhance this effect. A longer pendant necklace over a simple sleeveless dress creates another vertical line. Now the neckline is pulling the eye inward, and the necklace is reinforcing that same direction. That is a very simple styling trick, but it can make a big visual difference. And while we are talking about necklines, do not forget your face. The color closest to your face matters more than most women realize. Sometimes a sleeveless dress does not flatter you at all, and the real problem is simply that the color is washing you out. Try the exact same silhouette in a rich navy, a warm coral, an emerald green, a deep burgundy, or a soft cream, whichever shade naturally brightens your complexion. When the color makes your face look alive, people notice your face first, and that is exactly where we want the attention to land. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and drop a comment telling me which neckline is your favorite. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps me plan the next video. Trick 3. Let the fabric and silhouette do the work. Here is something I wish more women understood. When a sleeveless dress does not look flattering, the problem is very often not your arms at all. It is the fabric or the silhouette or both. A beautiful sleeveless dress should skim the body. It should move with you. It should never feel like it is fighting against you every time you sit, stand, or walk. One of the easiest fabrics to wear is a medium weight jersey. Notice the word medium. A very thin jersey can cling to every little curve and line, but a slightly heavier jersey has enough substance to drape smoothly over the body instead. Crepe is another wonderful option. It tends to hang beautifully, resists looking overly clingy, and instantly gives a dress a more sophisticated finish. Linen blends are lovely too, especially for warm weather. Pure linen is beautiful, but if you dislike excessive wrinkling, look for linen blended with viscose, cotton, or another fiber that gives it a little more softness and movement. Structured cotton can also work extremely well. What you are really looking for is a fabric with enough weight to create its own shape, because when the fabric holds its shape, your body does not have to. That is such an important idea to sit with. Your clothes should be working for you. Now let's look at silhouettes. The first is the classic A-line dress. This shape is narrow around the upper body and gently widens toward the hem. It is easy, elegant, and very forgiving, and it works beautifully if you like some definition through the torso without anything clinging around the hips or stomach. Then there is the fit and flare dress, which gives you a little more waist definition before flowing outward, creating a beautiful feminine shape without ever feeling tight. If you prefer something more modern, try a straight or column dress. This can look incredibly chic, particularly in a structured fabric, because the vertical silhouette naturally elongates the body. Just make sure it is not so oversized that you lose your shape entirely. There is a real difference between relaxed and shapeless. A relaxed dress still has intention behind it. And then we have the wrap-style dress, such a useful design because it creates diagonal lines across the torso. Those diagonal lines naturally pull the eye inward, and the tie at the waist creates definition without ever making the dress feel restrictive. So the next time you look in the mirror, try not to zoom in mentally on one part of your body. Look at your complete silhouette and ask yourself, does this dress create a beautiful shape? Because when the answer is yes, your arms simply become part of that beautiful overall picture. Trick 4. Master the third-piece layering trick. If you love sleeveless dresses, but sometimes feel uncomfortable showing your upper arms, this is probably the single most useful trick in this entire video. Add what stylists often call a third piece. Your dress is the first piece. Your shoes complete the basic outfit. And then you add one lightweight layer that makes the entire look feel intentional. The important word here is lightweight, because the goal is never to bury a beautiful sleeveless dress underneath a heavy jacket. You still want the dress to be visible. One of the easiest options is a lightweight cardigan. Look for something soft and fine knit rather than bulky, one that falls somewhere around the waist or upper hip, adding coverage without swallowing the entire outfit. And if the cardigan is too long and loose, pay attention to your proportions, because a petite woman can sometimes disappear underneath an oversized layer. You want movement, not volume for the sake of volume. Another beautiful option is a cropped linen jacket. This is fantastic over summer dresses. It gives the shoulder structure, covers the upper arm, and, because it is cropped, your waistline stays visible. You could take the exact same sleeveless dress you wore on vacation and add a linen jacket to make it perfectly appropriate for lunch, a church event, or a smart casual gathering. Then there is the wrap or pashmina, such an elegant solution for weddings, dinners, cruises, or evening events. Do not wrap it tightly around yourself. Let it rest softly around your shoulders. That relaxed drape looks far more elegant than constantly clutching it closed because you are worried about your arms. Remember, the goal is never to look like you are hiding. It is to look like you intentionally completed the outfit. A kimono-style layer is another wonderful option, especially over a simple column dress. If your dress is plain, the kimono can introduce color, print, or texture, but again, watch the scale. If you are petite, look for a slightly shorter, less voluminous version. If you are taller, you can often handle a little more length and movement. And then we have the classic blazer. A lightweight blazer over a sleeveless dress is one of the easiest ways to instantly elevate an outfit. Suddenly, that simple dress looks polished enough for lunch, a meeting, a gallery visit, or dinner. And here is the key styling secret with all of these layers. You usually do not need to close them. Leaving your cardigan, jacket, or blazer open creates two vertical lines down the front of your body, and those lines naturally draw the eye downward, making the entire silhouette look longer and more streamlined. So rather than buttoning the cardigan and creating one large block of fabric across your torso, try leaving it open instead. You still get coverage around your upper arms, but you preserve the shape and color of the dress underneath. Now think about sleeve length on these layers. You do not necessarily need a full-length sleeve. A 3/4 sleeve is elegant and practical. An elbow-length sleeve gives coverage without feeling heavy. A bracelet-length sleeve draws attention toward the wrist, often one of the narrowest points of the arm, creating a beautiful, graceful proportion. This is exactly where the versatility of sleeveless dresses becomes so powerful. Imagine one simple navy sleeveless dress. For lunch, you add a cropped linen jacket. For a wedding, a soft sheer wrap. For dinner, you wear it alone with beautiful earrings. For travel, a lightweight cardigan. For a more formal daytime look, a blazer. One dress. 5 completely different outfits. That is why I never want you to automatically dismiss sleeveless dresses simply because you do not always want your arms exposed. They are actually some of the most versatile pieces you will ever own. Trick 5. Direct the eye with accessories, shoes, and confidence. Accessories are not just decoration. They are visual direction. They tell the eye exactly where to go, and when you are wearing a sleeveless dress, that becomes incredibly useful. Let's begin with earrings. A beautiful pair of statement earrings naturally brings attention upward toward your face. They do not have to be enormous. Even a polished gold hoop, a pearl drop, or an interesting sculptural earring can create a focal point so that when someone looks at you, their attention is drawn straight toward your eyes and your smile. That is powerful. A pendant necklace can do something very similar. A necklace that falls vertically through the center of your torso creates a long line, and the eye moves inward and downward instead of horizontally across the arms. You can also use a beautiful brooch, scarf, or bracelet to create your own intentional focal points. Now let's talk about shoes, because shoes affect the entire proportion of a dress more than most people realize. If you want your legs to appear longer, a nude or skin tone shoe creates a very smooth visual transition. Pointed toe flats give you length without requiring heels. A low block heel adds polish and often feels far more stable than a narrow heel. And for summer, a sleek sandal keeps a sleeveless dress looking light and modern. The important thing is that the shoe should feel connected to the mood of the dress. And then think about your handbag. You do not necessarily want an enormous bag hanging next to a delicate summer dress. A medium or small structured bag often looks more intentional, and for evening, a clutch or compact shoulder bag keeps the entire silhouette clean. Now here is something that is rarely discussed in fashion videos, but it might be one of the biggest factors in how an outfit truly looks. Posture. When women feel self-conscious about their arms, they sometimes unconsciously pull their shoulders inward. They bring their arms tightly against their sides. They almost try to shrink themselves. And ironically, that often makes the arms look more noticeable because you are pressing them against the torso. Instead, relax your shoulders. Let your arms fall naturally. Stand tall. Give yourself space. A sleeveless dress looks completely different on a woman who is comfortable occupying her space. And that brings us to the most important point in this entire video. You do not have to earn the right to wear sleeveless clothing by having perfectly toned arms. Your arms have lived. They have carried groceries. They have held children. They have worked. They have hugged people. They have carried you through decades of life. They do not need to look 25 years old for you to wear a beautiful summer dress at 60, 70, or beyond. So moisturize your skin if that makes you feel good. Wear your favorite lipstick. Style your hair. Put on the earrings that make you smile. And then wear the dress. Instead of asking, "Am I too old to wear this?" ask yourself, "Does this make me feel elegant, comfortable, and like myself?" If the answer is yes, that is the dress. So the next time you try on a sleeveless dress, remember these 5 simple tricks. First, choose shoulder straps and armholes that create balance. Second, use your neckline to draw attention inward and upward. Third, choose fabrics and silhouettes that skim rather than cling. Fourth, add a beautiful, lightweight third piece whenever you want extra coverage. And fifth, use your accessories, shoes, and posture to create intentional focal points. Because the goal was never to hide your age. It was always to dress yourself in a way that makes your age look elegant, confident, and beautifully, unmistakably your own. Before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these 5 tricks are you trying first? And if you have not already, subscribe to GRACEFUL&CHIC after 50 so you never miss the next video, because if sleeveless dresses are only one of the things you stopped wearing because someone convinced you it was too young for a woman over 60, you are going to want to see what is coming next. We are breaking down the fashion rules women over 60 should completely ignore and showing you exactly what to wear instead, so you can look modern, sophisticated, and unmistakably yourself.